Hey guys, what's up? CT out in the garage. Today we're going to use the Weekend Warrior. It's a vapor blaster from Vapor Hunting Technologies. This thing's awesome. Stay tuned, check it out. Alright guys, let's take a closer look at this thing. It is pretty cool. It is a Weekend Warrior from Vapor Hunting Technologies, and it's awesome. I used it the other day just for a few minutes and we got some pretty good results here. This was completely covered in rust and old paint, and it cleaned it up really good. We're going to do some more examples here and I'll show you how it works, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so I've got the air hose hooked up. I'm running 1/2 inch air and connectors all the way from the compressor. It's going through a 50-foot hose and it's going into this regulator and air dryer I have over here. So, you know, this is just to pull some moisture and stuff out of the air, and then you got your air pressure here, and we want to run it right around 60. That's right about where we're at. So that should get us close to where we need to be. And then we're coming out 1/2 inch, and I adapted everything down to whatever this comes with. I think it's 3/8. So we're all hooked up and ready to go. You know, obviously, if you purchase one of these, depending on the size of your shop and the size of your compressor and everything, you're going to need to get details as far as what size hose to run, your fittings and all that stuff. This isn't a how-to, this is just how I set everything up here, and I may change it as time goes on depending on my situation. This is kind of a temporary hose until I either move into a bigger shop or figure out where I want to run my lines, but I didn't want to go through all the trouble of running lines everywhere if I wasn't sure where I was going to keep the compressor. But right now the compressor is here, and this compressor, the manufacturer recommends that you use the continuous run feature. So we're going to turn this on. It is on right now. So basically the unit just keeps running, but at a lower RPM or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how that works. If you guys know, let me know. But we're going to turn this unit on. We're going to put, let's start with one of these. How about we start with this bolt, see how this bolt cleans up. That should be pretty quick and fast, and that'll just give us an idea of how fast we can knock this out. Stand by. All right guys, I got you hooked up to the window here, and we're gonna go turn the compressor on, but here is the bolt that we're gonna clean. Here's my gloves, the gun, and I have a foot switch down here that's gonna turn everything on. Stand by. All right, let's take a look at it. All right, guys, you can see it cleaned that bolt pretty good. There's just a tiny little bit of paint left here on the end. I don't know, that was probably a minute or two. No dust, no heat, and you know, everything's contained in that unit. That's pretty good. So that's ready to paint. This is ready to paint. You know, you can see how quickly you can clean these pieces up. Let's do another piece that's, this piece has been cleaned up a little bit on the inside, but not much. Let's see how quickly we can clean this one up. Stand by. All right, guys, so this unit comes with a window sprayer. It sprays the window with fresh water every, you know, how often you set it up to spray. It also comes with this spray nozzle, so you can spray down the inside of the unit. You can also spray down the window here, and it helps clear your view. You also use it to spray the whole cabinet down when you're done. You know, you can clean everything out. Works really nice. And you also use it to spray your piece off when you're done blasting it, to get the sand off of it. That's why you need the overflow nozzle on the side. Once the level gets up to a certain point, it needs to exit and overflow into the bucket outside. Otherwise, this whole thing would fill up with water. So let's see how this piece right here cleans up. All right, here we go. Pretty fast. And this is the 220 grit. You could use a more aggressive grit. You could also use a more aggressive nozzle, the tip of the gun, to cut even harder and faster. They also have the option to install a window wiper if you want a window washer wiper. So you can see, cleaning up pretty quick. Let's hit it a little bit longer. All right, let's see what it looks like. Let's pull it out and take a closer look. All right, let's see what it looks like up close. Looks pretty good, guys. You know, that was like maybe 5 minutes or so. And like I said, 220 is not a real aggressive mesh. You could go more aggressive and cut faster and harder depending on what you're working with. You know, if you're working with pieces that are machined that need to stay and that's in, you know, and not get, you know, not remove too much material, you want to use the smoother grits. But if you're doing outside stuff like this, you could probably go a little harder. So anyway, yeah, if you think about, you know, how fast it removed that old paint and dirt and grease that was on there. Obviously, you don't want to put anything in here that's covered in grease because it'll get into the machine and in the pump, and you don't want to do that. You want to try to have it somewhat clean before you stick it in there. So, you know, I work with a lot of really oily, greasy, dirty stuff. So my plan will be, if it's really bad, you know, obviously get as much of that off as I can first, wipe all the grease off, maybe put it in a bucket of simple green or something and get as much of the nasty, thick oil and grease off before you stick it in there. But something like this is all surface rust, you know, so this can just go right in there. I feel like I could probably have a little bit more aggressive grit or mesh to work with here to cut some of this old, but that's pretty good. That's not bad. I'm digging it so far. I could do that all day long. That's fun. I like it. There's no dust flying around in here, you know, which is awesome. I don't want to be breathing in that nasty dust all day long, and I don't want it getting all over my garage and all over the shop and all over the parts and everything. That's one of the main reasons I went with one of these units, is the dust. All right guys, so you can kind of see this piece here starting to flash rust a little bit. So I added some more of the corrosion preventer. I think I'm supposed to add, I started off with just one of these, which is just I just added another one. So I put 2 of these in. I think you're supposed to put like 4 or 5 of these in. I just wanted to kind of slowly ease into it and see what kind of results I got. I got pretty good results on this one. I'm not sure why this one didn't rust. This bolt hasn't rusted yet. So it's interesting that this is flash rusting. It's really, I'm not sure if it depends on the type of steel. And the composites that it's made up of, if they're slightly different, could have an effect on it. So let's try one more piece. Let's try doing one side of this pulley here and see what kind of results we get. Let's see, what side do we want to do? Let's do this side. This side is rusty, it's painted, and it should give us a good, and I'll get down in that groove just a little bit too. We'll spend a few minutes on this and see what happens. Stand by. Let's take a look at that. It's looking pretty good. This was heavily corroded. I mean, this is pretty bad corrosion and paint on here. And right here, where I was hitting it the hardest, is pretty smooth now. Yeah, that's nice. I could definitely see using a little bit more aggressive media on this type of rust, just to cut a little faster, and maybe a more aggressive nozzle. I think I'm going to do that because it feels like I need to be cutting a little faster, but you can see the results are awesome. We just have to get the right combination of mesh and nozzle. But for the first try, that's not too bad. I'm excited because, you know, this was maybe 5 minutes or so just messing around here, and if I had the proper mesh and nozzle, I could probably do this whole thing in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Even if it was 10 minutes, and you could get all of that old rust and paint off and get it to that smooth surface and then paint it, boom, you just saved, you know, a piece that you can't replace. I mean, you can't find these original pieces anymore. And if yours is in good condition, it just needs to be cleaned up, you know, remove the rust and paint and put a fresh coat of paint on it. You've saved the original piece, which is going to save you guys money, you know. It's going to save me money. If I have to go out and buy these drums new, they are very expensive. They're almost like $200 a piece for the specific bus that I have. You know, so if I can save these by stripping them down, cleaning them up, and painting them, that alone is like $800 that I just saved by being able to keep these and clean them up. Now, you know, do I have to go to this extreme? No, you could just clean the inside up here and slap some paint on them real quick and be done with it. But there are a lot of pieces, you know, I just want to try to get these things as detailed as possible. This thing right here, this is the oil bath for the air filter, oil bath air cleaner for the carburetor, and we're going to be able to get this down to bare metal. You know, something like this probably take 10, 15, 20 minutes. Get it completely stripped down, and oop, there goes all the oil. Oil's been in there for 50 years. Look how black it is. Wow. I haven't even opened that thing yet. That is some black oil right there, boy. Oof. Anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. It's pretty cool. What do you think about this unit? What do you think about these vapor blasters? Vapor blasters, you know, wet blasting versus dry blasting. What are your thoughts? Okay, so I figured out that because I was rinsing the pieces off with the fresh water, that I was rinsing off the rust inhibitor. So when you bring it out here, it'll start to flash rust. So the trick is, you know, when you have a closed loop system, your fresh water is actually using water from a bin that's being recycled, and that has the rust inhibitor in it. With this unit, it doesn't have the closed loop system. So I'm running fresh water. That fresh water if you use it to clean off the part when you're done to get the sand off of it, it's going to take off the rust inhibitor. So I'm going to try with small parts like this. When I pull it out, I'll put it in here, dunk it, and then set it down, let it dry, and we'll see if that works. I'm not sure. This is probably a gallon or two bucket here, and I put one of these full in there. We'll see if that's enough to prevent the flash rusting. And eventually I'll get a bigger bucket probably, because I'll need something bigger for parts like this and this. But I think that's the trick. So I'm just kind of figuring these little things out as I go, let you guys know. All right, guys, let's mess around with one more piece. I got this old Solix carburetor. It is nasty. But let's see. Probably won't do the whole thing, but let's just see what it does to this. Just as an experiment, see how it cleans it up, because I'll be working with some carburetors in the future and I'd like to be able to get them nice and cleaned up. Look at that rust. So we'll do some before and after shots here. So yeah, it's it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Let's stick it in there for a few minutes. Obviously, if we were going to completely rebuild this, we would want to take it all apart and clean it, all the different pieces, and replace all the gaskets and everything. But we're just going to do this as a demonstration of how well this can clean. Let's check it out. All right, there it is. That was just about a minute, maybe. 220 is probably a little too aggressive for this. You probably want to go with more of glass bead. But this one was in pretty nasty shape, so you can see though, cleans up pretty darn good. But yeah, we'll try this with the glass bead next time. I think it'll give it more of a polished, it'll clean it, but it'll also polish it too. But maybe this will be a future project. We can take this thing all apart, clean it really good, rebuild it, and see if it works. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.